Would you please remain standing for the pledges? The American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Would you please join us in the singing of the national anthem, sung by Donna Uriostegui.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? And for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Color guard, reform ranks. Color guard, retreat.
Please remain standing, bow your heads and pray with me. Dear Lord, we gather here today, students, teachers, veterans, friends, and family, in remembrance of the brave actions taken by these men and women to protect our country. We pray blessings, thankfulness, and protection over them as they risk their lives so we can live ours. We stand together forever grateful for your overwhelming love and mighty name. We give you the glory in the good, bad, and hard times. Lord, please protect these men and women as they continue to protect us. Thank you for your gracious and merciful love. Amen. Please be seated.
Please welcome the Howe Intermediate School Choir. In honor of the veterans, the choir will sing America the Beautiful, arranged by Ruth Elaine Schramm.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, forever waves of grain, for purple mountains, majesty above the fruited plains. America, America,
Gentry Doty, and today I have the honor of introducing Brandon Grooms. Brandon served in the United States Marine Corps from the year 2000 to 2005, in which he completed his service at the rank of Sergeant E5. His primary military occupational specialty was ground radio repair, where he served in the artillery unit for 1 year. Brandon was soon accepted to the Marine Security Guard Battalion in Virginia, where he served as a starting embassy for 3 years. Since then, Brandon and his wife Rachel have moved to Howe and currently have 3 kids, all of which attend Howe schools. Please help me in welcoming Mr. Brandon Grooms.
Thank you, Gentry. It's an honor to be here today. It's an honor to represent veterans. It's an honor to be a Marine. It's an honor to be in Howe, Texas. I'm very grateful for the school district for having this assembly and gathering our kids to let them celebrate Veterans Day and have them sing songs about America. If we don't instill these values into them, they will take them for granted, and eventually our freedoms will be lost. So I want to thank the school district for having an assembly like this. Veterans Day is a federal holiday that's observed annually on November 11th. The first Veterans Day was celebrated in 1919 to celebrate the 1-year mark of the end of World War I. World War I ended when the Germans signed the armistice on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918. Veterans Day is distinctly different than Memorial Day. On Veterans Day, we celebrate veterans. On Memorial Day, which we celebrate in May, we celebrate those and honor those who have given their lives in their military service. A veteran is a person who has served in the military. U.S. service members come from all over the United States and the world. Some are not U.S. citizens. I remember a time in my active duty, we had a gunnery sergeant who had been in for roughly 20 years that was retiring from the Marine Corps and receiving his U.S. citizenship close to his retirement. I recall in boot camp there was a recruit that trained in my platoon that could not speak English very well at all. His English did improve in boot camp, but my English improved during boot camp as well. I have the ability to speak a lot more quickly now, if necessary. Service members come from all walks of life, from poor to rich, from high school educated to Ivy League educated, some with GEDs, some with a lot, some with not much. Military service is very demanding. It's demanding physically. In the Marine Corps, we pride ourselves on being demanding. We pride ourselves on being hard. We pride ourselves on the physical aspects that it takes to be a Marine. We do a lot of runs. We do a lot of push-ups. It will push your body. It is very demanding mentally. You'll be faced with challenges that require you to think under pressure, to maintain your composure, to maintain your bearing in adverse circumstances, to think through problems when the chips are down, you don't have the gear you need, you don't have the personnel you need, but to accomplish the mission. Military service is demanding emotionally. It requires you to be away from home, to be away from loved ones for extended periods of time, to operate in environments where you're not liked. There will be opposition. It requires emotional strength. It pushes you financially. You know, we don't join the military to get rich. And I recall in boot camp, a lot of people don't understand, but Military service members in the Marine Corps, I'll speak on behalf of the Marine Corps, have to pay for their uniforms. I know in boot camp there would be recruits that would go through boot camp collecting a salary for the 13 weeks we're in boot camp. They would get their paychecks docked for the uniforms they had to buy while they were there. And if they wanted to go home on leave, on boot leave after boot camp, they had to pay for that. They would leave boot camp in the hole. So there's financial stability and there's a lot of things the military offers, but it's not the most lucrative business to be in. It pushes you spiritually. You're going to deal with situations where you're strained, you're stressed for periods of time. In certain circumstances, you could potentially face death. So that's things you have to think about and deal with, and these young men and women who serve have to address that. Having a family, I was single in my active service in the Marine Corps, but a family life is very difficult for active duty military. The wives, the children that endure the service, they serve as well. They sacrifice a lot. Their parents are gone for potentially months at a time. When we invaded Iraq, some of the first deployments were gone 18 months. That's a long time to be away from home. There's a lot of dads who don't meet their children until they're several months old. They're born while they're away. So we need to tip our hats to the families of the servicemen and women out there and the sacrifice that they make for the freedoms we have. Many veterans feel that military service is a calling on their life. It's where they're supposed to be. I felt that way as well. I joined the Marine Corps for the right reasons. I did not join for college money. I did not join to see the world. I joined because I wanted to be a Marine, and that's what it meant to me. If I'd had other motivations for being there, my experience would have been much different. Veterans endure hardships like we just discussed because they're dedicated to the mission. They're dedicated to their cause. They're dedicated to their fellow servicemen. They're dedicated to their hometown. They're dedicated to their state, to their country. They're dedicated to freedom. They're dedicated to liberty. There's a lot of reasons we join. There's a lot of reasons we serve. And at different times, you rely on those different motivations to get you through. I also recall in boot camp, we had a motivation day where we had some World War II veterans, some Vietnam veterans that spoke to our platoon. And I recall one of them specifically saying, you know, they were there to motivate us, to build us up, and also ingrain that esprit de corps that we have as Marines, that we'll fight no matter what, and we'll never quit. And I remember one veteran saying that when you're in the fight, when you're in the fighting hall and the chips are down, the things that you do, you don't do for apple pie. You do it for each other. When you're shedding blood and you're shedding blood of the enemy, you don't endure that just for money or accolades. Your fellow man, your fellow Marine next to you is the prime reason that you do it. We serve for values that we protect and hold dear in America, for doing the right thing, for freedom, for independence, and those values are worth fighting for. America is not perfect, and even though it's being argued more in recent times, America remains the greatest country on earth. America is the beacon of freedom to the oppressed worldwide. There are so many countries that do not have the freedoms we have. And our existence, to be able to sit here in the auditorium today and express our thoughts, to have these flags that stand behind me, the oppressed in the world, just knowing that exists, gives them courage, gives them hope. That's why so many try to get to this country, to enjoy this freedom that we are so blessed with. We are all sitting in this room are extremely blessed. I would encourage everyone to travel the world to experience other cultures, to go to other places, travel to the third world countries, travel to the former Soviet Union, travel to China, travel to the Middle East. I had the ability to travel to some of these places in my lifetime, and it will ingrain in you pride that you didn't know that you had. It will ingrain in you honor that you took for granted growing up. We take so many of our freedoms and so much of our access for granted. But when you deal with people, I was in Abuja, Nigeria at a time, and just to see the disease of the place, to see people with polio, to see how many people in the population are just everywhere, to see AIDS the way it was, to have to worry about guerrilla fighters coming and stealing your children and taking what you have. Those are real problems that we don't have in America, thank God. Besides the third world countries, the former Soviet Union. I served from 2000 to 2005, and I was able to go to some former Soviet countries in that period. Even though this was roughly 10 years after the fall of the Soviet Union, they were still building, they were still developing. The oppression that these countries faced for all those years had lasting effects. It affects the culture, the psyche of the people there. So we are very blessed to have the freedom we have. America has to be protected. Freedom has to be protected. Liberty has to be protected. Independence has to be protected. Our forefathers and all of our veterans who have served prior provided those to us. We were fortunate enough to be born into an environment where we had those. But they were given to us by our forefathers, by the ones who came before. But most certainly they will have to be protected. They will be challenged, and they will have to be defended. And it is the job of the U.S. military to defend that. It's all of our responsibility to protect and serve our country. We all serve in different ways. Some will be in the military. Some of you kids here today will serve in the military. Some of you will teach. We have teachers here. Some of you students will teach. Some will run for public office. We need good representation in our government. All of this contributes to our society. And if we do not maintain it, if we do not improve it, it will not sustain. We all have a right, we all have a duty to maintain it, to protect it, or it will be lost. There is evil in the world that if it's not pushed against, they will take over. There's a quote, all it takes for evil to prevail is for good men to do nothing. We have to have good men. We have to have good women. You students who are here today, I encourage you to be the best you can be. Our country needs you. Our society needs you. Howe, Texas needs you. And we're going to need you more increasingly as you get older. So let Veterans Day remind us to honor those whom have served in the defense of our country and of our freedom. But let it also remind us of our responsibility to protect freedom, to protect our society, to not take it for granted. Let it be a reminder of what veterans have sacrificed for us all, so we can have these luxuries that we have. I'm thankful to be here, thankful for you listening. God bless.
Each year, we ask our 4th grade students to write an essay honoring our veterans. The students first study Veterans Day, and then they put their thoughts into writing about the importance of veterans to our country. 2 students are chosen every year to present their essay. It is my pleasure to introduce these students to you. Please welcome Hannah Lawson and Jaden Potts.
Do you know, veteran, what I do? Veterans need to be honored. They work hard and risk their lives for yours and other people they don't even know. One thing I know is that they love their country. They also play a very important role in the state's safety. Instead of spending time with their family, they spend time training and fighting in war. They also miss out on time to have fun and relax. In the past, they ended the war of all wars. Veterans Day is the day they get to see their family and be recognized for being heroes. It's the one day they get to have fun. They are important people to all of us. They are all so brave. Veterans Day allows us to thank all who served in the military, in the present and the past. The soldiers give us our freedom and peace. So let's honor all veterans, no matter what branch. Thank you to all of our veterans.
Veterans Day is a holiday that celebrates and honors veterans who have served or are currently serving our country. It's important to make time to thank them for all they have done. Veterans Day fought in wars to protect our country. They also worked during peace times to keep us safe. Veterans Day makes me reflect on the people who fought for many lives. On this day, we show love and respect to veterans. My grandpa was in the Air Force and fought in the Vietnam War. My great uncle also fought in the Vietnam War and was killed in action of a helicopter crash. Veterans Day make me feel proud that my grandpa and great uncle are veterans who fought. Veterans fight for our freedom, and they should be honored for all they do. Thank you, veterans.
My name is Kira Robertson, and I have the privilege to introduce the Howe High School 2022 art winners. When your name is called, will you please come forward and stand by your artwork? Second place goes to Donna Uriostegui. And first place goes to Audie Martin. The Howe High School Band will now play Armed Forces Pride of America. We ask veterans to please stand when their song is played. United States Army. United States Army. There you go. recognized in 1874 by the U.S. Army. Although it has no official lyrics, the following verse by an unknown author is often used. Fading light dims the sight, and a star gems the sky gleaming bright. From afar, drawing nigh, falls the night. Day is done, gone the sun, from the lake, from the hills, from the sky. All is well, safely rest, God is nigh. Then good night, peaceful night, till the light of the dawn shineth bright. God is near, do not fear, friend, good night. In a fitting final tribute, taps will be played by Julie Castellanos to those who remember this day.
As we conclude our ceremony, I would like to acknowledge the people who worked to put this program together. Thank you to the Boy Scouts for presenting the flags, and also thank you to the band for preparing and playing the themes of each branch of service. Thanks to Mr. Tipton and his art students, Ms. Parton and her choir students, and Ms. Cornelison and her food production students. I would also like to give a round of applause for our National Honor Society members for organizing the 2022 Veterans Day program. I would like to remind all veterans and their guests that we have a lunch in your honor provided by Ms. Cornelison and her food production student class in the cafeteria directly after the program. Let us stand and give one more round of applause for those veterans that are here today and those who gave so much more to enjoy the freedom we now have.